Tom Petty said it best when he sang, "The waiting is the hardest part." But for me, it's always been the wanting. Hi, everybody. Kevin Barhyde here. Thanks for tuning in. In one of my most recent episodes, I and Need and Help, I talked about how it's a real struggle sometimes, even as recovery takes hold and we progress and I've grown in so many ways. Why am I still struggling? What is it that I'm struggling with? What is the pain? What is the hurt? What is the angst that I feel some days more than others? And Heavenly Genius, hi Heavenly Genius, commented in a way that really spoke to me and talked about how he really wondered about his bio dad. And just like I've been searching and am in the process of searching and maybe getting closer, I promise, getting closer, I hope. It's been a little bit frustrating at times. It's been a little bit wondrous at times. And it's just sometimes been a little bit confusing. The waiting, the wondering, the hoping and the praying, and then sometimes the long nights of saying, how do I deal with this? How do I grapple with this waiting? And what I really honed in on was how, as he wondered about his biological father and what should he expect if he ever meets him, the real question over and over again haunted me. What do I want? What am I wanting to get out of it? And that got me thinking, and thank you so much for that comment and for interacting, and that's why it's so important to me. It really spurred me to think, is it about the waiting or is it about the wanting? And I think for me, there's a real sense of waiting is okay, but not if I don't know what I want. Wanting in the early days of recovery was, geez, I just don't want to hurt so much. Coming through the process of really understanding that the addiction and the alcoholism had taken such a toll on me and the people around me, all I wanted to do was stop drinking. All I wanted was to have some relief. And as I started struggling with being sexually abused as a child, that really tore me up. That really made me feel like I was worthless until I realized that I had some agency there. And what I wanted was to claim that agency, to claim my body back, to claim my whole self. And as time's gone on, and it's really been important in these last 15 years to understand that the adoption and the abandonment really did take a toll on me and really did have an effect on me into what I even wanted. What should I want if I wasn't even allowed to be with my biological family? What should I want? Should I want my biological family? Is that right? Is that wrong? Should I only focus on wanting my adoptive family that loved me and cared for me? The real question ended up being, what do I want? And yet as I continue to ask myself in the early days of recovery, what do I want? I started to get some clues. And those clues weren't always clear to me, but I started to understand that if I followed those clues, if I followed that breadcrumb trail of what is it that I want, the waiting became less arduous. The waiting became more of not a pleasure, but so much as an honor, a privilege, that I could even be a part of the waiting for something that was coming. And maybe that would be beautiful. Maybe that would change my life. Maybe that would open me up. And maybe that would open up the people around me, the people maybe that I haven't even met yet, to the wonders of what's coming next. The want that I have in my life right now is a strong one. If you look at the other videos about me starting my DNA testing and the search for my biological father, that's a real big want. I would like to meet this person. I would like to know my family. I would like to discover, and I have all these fantasies and these dreams and these ambitions about what could happen next, and yet I have to stay right here in the moment and say, what do you really want? And what I want more importantly than anything else is not for them to accept me in their life, but for me to be open to them in my life. I can't have any control over my biological father, over any family that he has, any family that might be a genetic part of my history in my life. I have no control over that. But I have control over me being ready for them. And I never feel ready. That's the hardest part. I never feel ready. I never feel ready to pull that trigger to say, hey, I'm here. Here I am. This is me. I think I know who you are. Would you like to say hello? I don't ever feel ready. And that want, and not feeling ready to pursue that want is what makes the waiting so painful, so long, those long nights, that waking up at 3 in the morning and not being able to sleep until 5:30 again because my mind just won't stop moving. It won't stop racing, even if I think positively about it. So what can I do? When I'm waiting, how do I make that into a want that feels not only necessary, not only important, but my want? How do I make it into my want? And I think for me, what's been uplifting and even surprising for me has been to understand that the waiting is much more pleasurable, much more important, much more beneficial to me when I recognize that having these wants is the gift to myself. Having and accepting that I have wants that are healthy, that are loving, that are caring, that are full of a spiritual sense of trying to reach out in this world, just like I am now. You see, the wanting to me is about the giving. The wanting to me is what you're seeing right now. I surely want a lot of things in my life. I surely want to connect with you. I surely want to connect with my family. I surely want to be healthy and to grow in my recovery. And I surely want to never drink or drug again or never be abused again. And I surely never want to be abandoned. But more than anything else, what I want is I want all these wonderful gifts that have come into my life. I want to share them with others. I want to have a life that connects to the people around me in a healthy way. That's not what I had. That's not what I had growing up in abandonment. That's not what I had when I was abused. And that's certainly not what I had through all the years of drinking and drugging and diving into a life of devastation and despair. But that's what I can choose now. That's my want. So when I think of Heavenly Genius saying, what is it that I want, that inspires me, that we are even asking the question, what do I want? And we're asking it from a Heavenly Genius perspective, from a spiritual perspective, from a healthy perspective, from a caring and a wondrous perspective. I had about an hour conversation with my dear friend George, and if you haven't heard George yet, check out the link above because that was a wonderful chat we had right here. George and I were talking, and some of this I was bouncing this off of him, and he said, have you ever heard the Tubes? And I said, well, yeah, sure, that's an older band. What's the song? He said, what do you want from life? And he said, listen to the lyrics. So I did, and it's really accurate for where I am right now. I want to be the baby holding the apple. I want to be this innocent being that I was when I was born, before the adoption and the abandonment, before the sexual abuse, and before the addiction took over. I want to be that. I want to be that person. But I want to have that apple right here. I want to have a want. And I want to take the moment to say, I got an apple. Isn't this great? You want to share? Thanks so much for taking the time to tune in today. I really appreciate all the comments, especially Heavenly Genius. Thanks, George, for having that conversation. I've been so spurred by all of the interactions that I've had with you here and on Twitter and other places. Look, a lot of good things are happening in my life, a lot of exciting things. There's more to come, and I'm going to be sharing it with you here. But in the meantime, please make sure to subscribe, make sure to make some comments below, like this video and share it with other people. And I really look forward to seeing you guys next week. Take care.